Hello, we are back. We are here. It is WR's Ironman round 5. Okay, we're getting into this. Hope you're having a banging day wherever you've came from in the world. And with me, for the second time, I'm so excited for this because we had such fun last time. We have the man with the plan, Dan Field. Welcome, how are you?
I'm fantastic once again. It's a pleasure to be back as always. Spain, when we were together last time, was absolutely just one of the best times I've ever had commentating. So I'm very happy to be back here today, and I'm very much looking forward to it.
Well, I love it. I know everyone will be more than happy to see a very familiar face in the world of F1 commentating, a lot more than me. So definitely we're going to see some proper comms tonight, okay? I'm sorry, guys, alright? This man does it better. Okay, so we have some information to get into first off. Let's keep you all updated with where we are in the championship. So, into the Drivers' Championship, alright? I'm going to start with the Amateur Division first, okay? In first place, we have Balint Elikas with 65 points, Bertolin Savagna in second with 48, Gabor Takacs with 43 in third. Going down to fourth place, there's my guy, Daniel Zenogratsky with 41 points. He's still in this. Timbo in fifth, Gabor Tietzik sixth, Shabahager is seventh, Gabor Vaya eighth, David Vinci, the man that made this lovely graphic that you're watching, in ninth place, and David Castilla El Reguri in 10th place. Really good for him since he's just come in recently.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't even know that was his name, El Rey Curie.
Yeah.
But yeah, in 10th position. So it's a very nice title fight they've got going at the minute. Balin Elikas is beginning to stretch his advantage a little bit, but that fight for second, Scott, that is going to very much entice us for the rest of the season. And it's quite close in the esports drivers division as well. Jan Watmir leading that championship on 69 points, just a mere 9 points clear of Isvan Pookie. Danny Beresnay still in there in third with 56 points. Of course, he's been ill in recent weeks, hasn't he? So it's good to see him back to hopefully to working condition. He can really give us a challenge here tonight. Ishmael Fassi is just 1 point clear of Duncan Hoffland at the minute in fourth and fifth. Otis Lawrence, I believe, is racing tonight. He's on 31 points. Jack West, reserve driver, on 23. Ron Har just 2 points back on 21. That's a driver I'm very excited to see if he is racing tonight. And then Ben Jabo Konyi, of course, Hungarian native. In ninth position, and I know he'll be a fan favourite coming into today. Actually, so will Isfan, so will Danny, so will Milan Maya in 15th position. Of course, Scott, I mean, these Hungarian drivers, the Hungarian fans, they love their own hair.
Yes, they do, and they've got every right to be. There must be something in the water that just creates these really fast drivers. So, but moving on straight into the constructors' standings. All right, we have Aston Martin with 122 points, Visa Cash App 112, Red Bull in third, 105, Haas in fourth, Mercedes fifth, Alpine, Williams, Scuderia, Ferrari in eighth, Stake ninth, and McLaren in 10th. Now, there has been a slight change to the way that some of the points for this constructors' championship will be managed. Let's look at that together. Basically, the new rules for the amateur point system, so this is the amateur drivers, they'll still receive their full points separately in the drivers' championship, but for the constructors, they will only earn half points in the team championship. We've deemed that the current system is a bit unfair, so because the professionals in their category are all roughly similar pace to each other, they're in one group, but with the amateurs we do have a wider skill set of drivers there, so that is why they will only be receiving half points for that team championship. So that will come into play because you can see some of these numbers are quite close. So yes, Dan, that's the information that you need to know, but you also need to know who's driving tonight. So here you go, Dan, let's see who's driving.
Well, I mean, you said to me that you would take the
Oh yeah.
the Hungarian names. You're not doing that to me again.
Alright, you legend. Right, so we get Daniel Zenogratsky starting in first, my guy, Norbert Eisner in second, Balas Bendy, a new driver coming in third, David Vinci in fourth, Gabor Vaya fifth, Gabor Tietzik in sixth, David Castilla, Elway Guri in seventh place, Timbo eighth, Balint Elikas and Milan Diosi in ninth and 10th.
Yeah, and for the esports drivers, we've got Yoni Tormala, I believe, taking the position of Patrick Sipos down at Alpine. Thomas Ronhar in his Kick Sauber. Maximilian Lecurt, an up-and-coming driver in the F1 League racing scene. Ishmael Fassi driving in the Williams with Isvan Pookie in the McLaren. He's just moved over to that team, if I'm not mistaken. Danny Beresnay in his ever-familiar Mercedes car. Milan Maya in his Haas, and Jan Otmir in 18th in his Red Bull, with Ben Jabakonyi and Otis Lawrence starting from last position. It's going to be very exciting.
Yes, mate, I'm here for this. Now, here's what the tracks that it can be tonight. We know the track, but this is the tracks that are left. Spa, Monza, Mexico, China. The 3 American tracks, Canada and Jeddah. We now know where we're going. Dan, please let us know where you think we will be going tonight, huh?
Well, we are off to the Temple of Speed tonight. My friend Scott, we are going to Monza for the Italian Grand Prix.
Yes, like, that's going to be great. That's going to be so great. I'm here for that. Let's get us back on. So, what do we think from Monza? Do you know what I think? The first thing I think of at Monza is turn 1 and 2, obviously. But the second thing is the fact everyone's on a very similar pace here because, you know, you've got your foot down for how much percentage of the track? Like, almost endless. There's not much in it. It's about that average minimum speed cornering, you know, between maybe turns 3, 4, 5, 6. How much speed can you take around there?
I mean, it is such a fun circuit. Of course, the weather conditions are maybe going to be a little bit different to what everyone would expect. It is intermediate here. Of course, we've got the custom weather here in the Ironman League. It is into dry. We're starting off in the wet weather. I mean, cold brakes, cold tires, heading down into that first corner. They don't get a formation lap as well, Scott. It is going to be perilous for them, I'd say.
I'm so looking forward to this. I wanted in my mind, I was like, please be starting wet, because that's just going to be a whole new level. This is the thing, if you're new watching tonight, this is WOR's Ironman League. We take some of the best professionals in the world, and we put them against some of the best that Hungary has to offer in the amateur category. There's 2 races going on technically, okay? So the drivers, they start at the back. So reverse championship order in that fact. The amateurs will take 1st to 10th place. The pros will take 11th to 20th place. So we get to see some of the biggest names in the world have to make like 18, 19 overtakes to win. It's so cool, right?
It is very fun indeed. I mean, you've got like Otis Lawrence starting in last position. He's only just become old enough for F1 sim racing. He's made the switch to Aston Martin, I believe, in the esports world. So seeing him starting from last and having to make his way up the grid to fight at the very top, it is going to be so fun. Of course, you know, all these prolific qualifiers that we always see, Scott, at the very front of the order, we don't get to see that this time by. I mean, it is they're starting right down at the back. They've got to make the moves.
So I hate to like put this into one, but how much damage do you think is going to happen turn 1 and 2 here? I feel like it has. I've never seen 20 drivers actually get through that. That's I have to say, I've never seen it before.
I'm very nervous to say the very. I think that's just one way of putting it. I'm just nervous.
And who are you more nervous about, the amateurs or the pros, you know what I mean, who might expect the people in front of them, because they always race with the pros, right, so they're used to like being able to judge those people. What if someone breaks too early? Oh, it's game over.
Oh my days. Here we are then, getting ready for the 5 red lights here in Monza, a very wet circuit at the minute. And we are underway. It's Daniel Zenogratski leading in towards turn number 1 on his set of the intermediate tyres. They're all chopping and changing, fanning out further back behind as they head in towards the first braking zone where it could be very perilous through here. Already bit of contact between David Fincher and one of the kicks. That was Eisner, I believe, as there's cars off the circuit. Cars going into the gravel, over the bumps. It is pandemonium as they head through turn 1.
Ah, that's so good. Look at that. It's almost 5 wide at certain points. El Riguri up to 5th. We've got Gabber all the way to the back. We've seen he's got a 10-second penalty already. As you can see that. Lap 1. I don't even know what's happening here. We've got 20 drivers, 2 wide it seems like at every possible moment. Zenogratski off to a great start, but look at all of this at Carnage. Nearly 3 wide at some points. We are looking, let's see who's the movers and shakers already. Jarno up 7 spots, Dan.
Yeah, Jarno up 7 spots. Thomas Ronhar has already infiltrated the top 10. Ishmael Fassi as well up 5 spots, the pair of them. But in the top 2, they have stayed exactly the same. And one very interesting factor is that the top 3 have broken away already. 1.3 seconds separate David Vincher and Gabor Tietziak, I believe it is, in that mistake. I'm just going to stick with Gab. I think that's the safest way to go. But yeah, I mean, they've already got this gap, and it doesn't make that much of a difference considering there's no DRS in these wet weather conditions, but just having that track position is going to be vital.
Yeah, definitely. As we see people making moves already. Elray Guri, oh, a little bit of contact with Gab there, goes on the inside. Elray does not mess about. We've seen it in the Creator Series more and more times. He's not here to mess about. He's here to show just how fast he is. We have Maximilian Lukert. This is someone new to me for the first time. Doing well in 12 plays. Will he be making any moves? He might be having to defend on that inside, as we can see. Readjusting, but the two drivers being fair enough to each other.
Yeah, the pair of them are part of FVR, Balin Elekis, one of the amateur drivers, and then Maximilian Lukert, who is a part of the pro drivers split. So those two in different races, as Ben Jabberconyi is looking to the outside of one of the Ferraris. There's Ishmael Fassi going for a move in towards the Della Roja chicane, I believe that is. So there's moves, Scott, all over the circuit, and they're just trying to wade their way through in these intermediate conditions.
Look at you, that was a fancy corner name, I like that, okay. Alright, Jarno into 10th place as well. He's got Diozzi Milan behind, only 2 tenths. Curious to see how people like Jarno and Danny are going to take this. So, Danny's been very good. He was ill, but he's been putting in some good performances as well. But he's sometimes can be a slow burner. He doesn't want to go straight in too fast. We can actually see everyone's spreading out the tiniest little bit. The closest battle right now is the sort of 8th and 9th, with Ismail Fassi, Diozzi, and Jarno just right behind as well. Potentially making a move here, going in, goes on the inside, gets that done very nice and early. Diozzi not fighting it.
A nice and easy move for Jarno Otmir. Now Timbo could play the team game and sort of back up Ishmael Fassi in towards Jarno Otmir, heading down in towards turn number 1. Thomas Ronhar further up ahead is going for the move on Gab. As here they come in towards the first corner, Ishmael Fassi will move to the outside line of Timbo. Thomas Ronhar is not able to get through this time by Jarno Otmir. Meanwhile, further back behind, looking for the move on his teammate. They're all bunching up. It's the concertina effect in towards that first corner. And fair play to Timbo. He's kept Jarno Otmir behind, and he's still keeping Ishmael Fassi in check as they head through the Curva Grande. But here he comes back around the outside. Go on, Timbo! Around the outside of Ishmael Fassi. He's made that move stick. He's defended the place, and Jarno Otmir's followed through. He's got through on both of them.
Move of the race so far. I was like, did I watch Jarno? I didn't think he'd be audacious enough to make that move, but he proved me wrong. Great send. Timbo working well as well. Now, if Timbo can keep Ishmael back for a little bit, this is going to help Jarno when it starts to dry up. Gets a couple of seconds away, you never know. But Ron Hart as well at the back of Gab, very close. No, sorry, very close with Gab and Elray Guri. Look at this coming in. Oh, Elray just sends it down the inside. He is not messing about. Potentially a track warning, slowing each other down. Here comes Ron Hart.
Oh, Ron Hart, he's got the run on the pair of them. He's going to look towards the left-hand side of them, heading down this little back straight, and Thomas Ronhart's through on Gab. He's on the back of Elray Guri in towards the final corner. I can't remember what it is called, to be completely honest with you. That's P4 for Thomas Ronhart, and he is still continuing to carve his way through this field.
Definitely. Look how close it's getting with Ishmael and Danny and Timbo. We're all getting in. The gloves are out. 4 laps is already starting to look a bit drier as it was. Ishmael Fassi today. Look how deep they're going into turn 1. Here we go.
Oh my word, 3 wide in towards that very first corner. It's dangerous going 2 wide, making it 3. That's suicide, and that's one of them backed out there. Luckily, I think, because that would have been absolute chaos if they ended up going at it in towards the first corner. Timbo still keeping Ishmael Fassi company. Danny Bertley and Jarno Otmir, they've both gone through, but Timbo's just got something against Ishmael because he's still all over the back of him in towards the chicane. I do believe he's made his way through. Ben Jabberconyi is looking up the inside of Maximilian Lukert. That's a difficult name to get, very satisfying when you absolutely do, but yeah, that's in P12 at the minute. They've got to get themselves in the top 10.
Yeah, definitely. Now, we've seen a lot change, especially when we get into dry as well. But yeah, Ron Hart, amazing job. Needs to try and catch up with those 3 guys that just got away at first. Sorry, let me bring up the track map as well. There we go, so you can see a bit more clearly. Yeah, so they've got away a little bit, not the same as last week. Oh, it's with Aston Martin.
Ooh.
Who was that? Dios? Yeah, it was. Diozzi Milan. Way off, losing space. He's losing grip, traction. Dan, not what you want to see.
No, absolutely not. He takes a trip to the gravel down at Ascari, and that is maybe the first of many for these drivers taking a trip down there. It's only lap number 4, of course. In these wet weather conditions, the laps do tick by a lot slower. Here's Jarno Otmir looking for an easy enough move on Elray Guri. No DRS in these intermediate conditions, and I quite like that. It's pure, raw speed from these F1 cars, and we love to see that. Jan Watmir up into 5th, still trying to keep up with Thomas Ronhaar. There's about 1.5 seconds, second and a half between the pair of them.
Yeah, which is quite amazing because there was quite a few spots. Ronhaar did start a lot higher than Jarno, and you know what it's like when you need to get through people. You're naturally going to lose time. I don't care how quick you are. If the people in front of you are slowing you down, there's nothing you can do. So Jarno's got 2 seconds. That's not bad. That's not bad, but it's also a little bit of a statement as well because Ronhaar's got no reason to be not pushing hard here. So if Jarno can start catching him, bit of a statement made.
Absolutely, he's beginning to lose pace a little bit. We know Jan Watmir is typically the quickest driver when it comes to pure race pace. It's in qualifying where he loses out to Thomas Ronhaar, but of course here in the Ironman League there is none of that. No qualifying malarkey. It's all about the race here as the 2 Mercedes will swap order. Danny Berger, clean cut move, easy up the inside of his teammate in towards Ascari. Of course, Gabber, I remember when we were together in Spain, he ended up getting disqualified. So fingers crossed around this circuit, he's not ending up off the circuit as Balin Elekis is looking for the move on Timbo. This is a fight between 2 amateur drivers as they head in towards the final corner. It's Balin Elekis getting through. The RBs sticking together.
Yeah, definitely. But Timbo's not giving up here, and Maximilian might be even making a move. Oh, and he gets it done. Love that, taking advantage of it. It's going to get 1, is he going to get 2, is he going to get 3 moves in 1 DRS straight? You know he's going to go for it. No, he's not. Look at the speed of that RB next to him. He just sort of gains a new edge there. Still sticking it down the inside. Is there enough space left? Just enough space left. Love to see it, but can't make the move.
Yeah, he's going to struggle in these corners. He's actually got a little bit of front wing damage, does Maximilian, but that means a little bit less drag. You can see on the front left end plate that is missing on the Ferrari, but down that straight, he's actually going to be considerably quicker than these other drivers, so he's going to lose a little bit of downforce in these corners, especially through the next part of the circuit, these fast corners of Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2. That is when Maximilian Leclerc is really going to feel it. But down that straight, he's going to be cooking.
Man, look how close his Van Puke is behind Timbo. Is almost, you can feel the frustration. Just trying to get by, maybe having to make a move here. Look how much ERS he's got as well. You can see if you're not familiar too much with the game, just above his helmet at that bottom, that yellow bar that goes down, that is the ERS. It lets us know just how much resources these drivers are using. Now, Ronhaar has been eating away at this and now might be trying to make a move here. Had about 1.5 seconds to catch up with David Vince. He's nailed down about 2 laps.
Yeah, and Jan Watmir has actually been dropped by Thomas Ronhaar quite considerably. It's gone to about 2 seconds now. Thomas Ronhaar on the back of David Vincher. He's caught the top 3 who have completely broken away from the pack. They've escaped the massive melee that has just occurred in these first couple of laps. Ben Chabakonyi into the pits very early. There's Thomas Ronhaar up the inside, mounting the curb on the inside of turn number 1. And I'll tell you what, I think Bench might be on a set of the soft because I'm not seeing any rain here.
Well, there you go, he's on to the medium tyres, as you can see. Also, Jarno caught up once, like, you see, because Ronhaar made that move, Jarno caught up by 1 second in that one corner. Like, what is that? He looks like he'd done it proficiently enough, but he must have not been. Like, he's lost so much time. So Jarno's already going to be in DRS of David Vince. We've got the 2 kicks here. Like, what's Eisner thinking? You know, I've seen Timbo just let Jarno by because they're 2 Red Bulls. I've not seen Eisner let Ronhaar by because he's not been here in a couple of weeks.
No, Thomas Ronhaar, he's getting close to his teammate. Jan Watmir is in the train as well. And if we are in the dry conditions, we can keep an eye on the gap between Milan Maya and Ben Chabakonyi. There it is. I was just going to say, once the DRS gets enabled, that is when we are going to see things really kick off because these leaders, the top 7, all in one big train, and that could be chaos in towards that first corner.
100%. So has Ben Chabakonyi just done a masterclass here? Yoni Tormley getting into 15th, by the way. Has he just absolutely nailed it for coming in at this lap, or do you think he was a lap too early?
I think he's catching. He has been catching up to Milan Maya quite considerably. There's Daniel Zenogratsky, Eisner into the pits as well. Danny Berger and Thomas Ronhaar. Ishmael Fassi as well, deciding to stay out. So the pros seem like they want to stay out as Maximilian Leclerc gets a 10-second time penalty. Very disappointing indeed. It's mediums, hards. It's a split of the 2 tyres between all these drivers. They're looking to go long on this stint.
Yeah, this is what happens when I guess you're not talking to your teammate, because Ronhaar and Eisner were 2nd and 3rd. Eisner's went in. Ronhaar's deemed that getting slowed by 3-4 seconds is probably easier for him to stay out a lap. If this was me driving, I would definitely lose too much time, but someone like Ronhaar might be able to make this final win lap not be too disastrous, but I think Jarno's going to be in front of him now when he comes out. We'll see.
Yeah, and I think, well, Ismail Fassi, he had no choice but to stay out. But I think Danny Berejnay was actually ahead of Gab, and he's decided to let him go through. And I think that's a good little bit of team play between the pair of them, because Danny Berejnay, he's a very experienced driver. He's good around this circuit due to the heavy braking zones. We know how he abuses his brake pedals. So it's nice to see Danny Berejnay playing the team game, letting Gab come into the pits earlier so that Danny can be the one to have to go through the difficult process of getting back through the grid.
Yeah, I feel like we had Danny on the interview. I feel like he just does what he wants. This man doesn't practice, just comes up, just kicks ass. Like, Azelle, just like I feel like he'd almost just give himself an extra pit stop just to see if he could still do well. So you can see everyone coming in to the pits now. So now we're looking at Zenegratsky. He's the first guy in the new tires. Let's see how far ahead he is.
Yeah, we'll see as everyone is coming into the pits. It's mediums for Danny, hards for Ronhar. So there's a bit of a strategy split at some points here, as Zenegratsky should be coming out in the lead. There's Jarno Opmeer going through on Eisner, and Jarno should be all over the rear of Daniel Zenegratsky. But yeah, these guys are clear for the most part. Thomas Ronhar's actually found himself still in this train. Oh dear.
He just ended it. Ah, he's gone! And he's taking David Vinci. He's gone, Ronhar. Oh my god, what just happened there? Like, what just happened, Dan? We have a virtual safety car.
VSC is deployed. I never really see the VSC anymore. Oh my gosh. Poor David Vinci. The card, whoever it was, I think it was one of the kicks. It might have been Thomas Ronhar. Who was it?
I honestly, don't know. I was looking at the time machine just for a second because I thought we'd got out of turn 2 safely, and yeah, someone just spun. It almost looked like they just put their foot down too fast without traction control and spun out. Something I would be doing in these lobbies, but not something you would expect from these drivers.
Yeah, it was David Vinci spinning, and then Thomas Ronhar sort of T-boned him. David Vinci's out of this race, so I might see if I can join in here, but wow. Thomas Ronhar, he's lucky to come away with no wing damage there.
Did you see it's like DRS enabled again? Oh yeah, because we're off, because it's a virtual safety car and it only lasted 20 seconds. Let's go. So, Jarno is somehow in the lead. That happened. He is now leading the race by 1.5 seconds. So, you explain how that happened, Dan. Zenegratsky's in second. Eisner dropping down to fourth now. Danny Berejnay flying through on those medium tires. But look at the difference in tires from everyone. That is something that might be quite interesting. Zenegratsky feeling like he can take these Ronhards almost a subhuman speed, going through everyone right behind Danny. Is he going to make a move? No, he's going to sit behind Danny for now. Doesn't want to be caught in anything. And it doesn't look like he's getting any damage either.
No, that is unbelievable that he's been able to just T-bone the driver that spins in front of him and come out completely unscathed. He's the miracle man, is Thomas Ronhar. As El Rey Giri, this is way back down the order, going for the move on DOC Milan. That's a difficult name that I'm going to struggle to get right. As El Rey Giri, he's up a position. These guys trying to fight it out to get into that top 10. But I think because of these wet weather conditions, as now I'm actually in the lobby as well now, Scott, which is very good to see. But it's very interesting to see how the field is really spread out here.
Yeah, nearly too wide going into these corners. You do not want to be too wide at these two particular corners. Via Gabor realising that as well. Looking back up into 7th place, we get Ben Shabelkonia making that move, overtaking Gab, now has 2.5 seconds to start to catch up. My guy Zenegratsky gets a 3-second time penalty. It's not what I like to see, but I'm sure he'll be able to come back. Now, Gab almost looking like he wants to make a move. Will stay behind Ben Shabelkonia for now, but definitely will be making a move. Going up to the start of the race, we've got Ronhar 0.5 second behind Danny, and Danny 1.5 behind Jarno. Jarno's just flying, and to this day I still don't know how he ended up in first place. He must have just benefited from that crash just the most.
Yeah, I mean, Jarno up there, fair play to him. He took advantage of everyone maybe being, I think maybe in the drama, I think these guys' deltas might have been slower than Jarno's. And so he was able to just push a little bit more. He's now 1.7 seconds clear of Danny Berejnay. And I'd say the main objective for Danny, Thomas, Ismail is to be able to slipstream and DRS off each other, not fight too hard into that first corner, and try and close back up to the Dutchman. Because if you let Jarno Opmeer get a lead, from experience, Scott, then, oh dear, Gab, he's losing a few. I thought Gab went for a spin. But if you let Jarno Opmeer take a lead, there's no seeing him for the rest of the race.
Nah, he's gone, and honestly, he's getting further and further away. This is all up to Ronhard at this point. Does Ronhard fight Danny, or do they work together? Because if they work together, Jarno's got no chance to get away. They'll have DRS, they'll just be able to gain that time back. But if they start fighting, if they make a silly move, Jarno could be 3-4 seconds up the road and it's game over. Ishmael Fassi, who you can never count out, he's always up the top here, but sometimes he's just either it's a 3-second penalty or just not enough to get that sort of crowning moment there. But still, you cannot count them out as he's making a move on Ronhar. Will he make a one on Danny as well?
Danny, he slips to the inside line, so Ishmael Fassi in towards P2 ahead of lap number 12. He's going to try his best to close up to Jarno Opmeer, but because I think Danny drove so... He swerved so aggressively, that kind of lost him a little bit more time to Jarno Opmeer. But Ishmael Fassi now 1.7 seconds to the rear of Jarno Opmeer. These guys have got to do their best, really, just to catch up, because Jarno Opmeer, there's no beat. Oh, I thought Ishmael Fassi almost went for a spin in towards the chicane. I was heart in my mouth there. That was very scary. But I think it's just the weird lock-up physics in this game.
That wasn't,
oh my God.
That was probably a track limit warning as well. Nearly lost the car. It's very easy when you're pushing it to the limits that these guys are doing. But they have 2 DRS straights here to keep it eating into that time. But they're not. Okay, so they're nearly going 2. Okay, they're deciding to swap here as well. It's probably smart. And they can start to use more resources individually to catch up. We get Ben Shabakonya getting the move done on Maximilian. Great name. I'm starting to love that more and more. But Zenegradski in 6th place. Come on, my guy. We've seen him in the lead for half of the race last week, showing that the amateur division is not to be forgotten about. These guys can put in some serious moves, but he's going to need to find a little bit more soon.
Yeah, I think he's just lost a position to Eisner, and he has got himself a 3-second time penalty. Very unfortunate this early in the Grand Prix, and as Monzo as well, with these very, very high-speed corners and you know, lots of heavy braking zones. It's quite often, Scott, that we see drivers just lose the car at some point. They go off track, they get themselves a warning. So to get one this early in the race, it's very worrying for Zenegradski.
Mate, we got a fight from 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th, mate. This is getting spicy as they're almost going 3 wide into this. The amateur guys realising that they probably should back off. Yeah, Diozzi Milan lost out in a few spots there. He's going to be coming back for vengeance. Back to Ronhar.
Yeah, of course, he was off the circuit at one point, wasn't DOC? A couple of laps ago, he was in the gravel, so it's good to see him still trooping on. We've lost just one driver so far, David Vincher. Very interesting contact model, I think. That's why we didn't see Thomas Ronhard get any damage, because the contact model on this game is, I mean, I can't really swear on the stream, but it is just awful. But like, you get drivers crashing into each other whenever, you know, where they're not actually properly touching, and then you get Thomas Ronhard taking no damage despite fully just ramming into David Vincher in the traction zone.
It is quite amazing, yeah. I definitely doesn't. I feel like part of the code was done wrong. As Ronhard he nearly was kind of blocked, had nowhere to go there. Gets in front of Perez. They're going to stay behind Ishmael Fassi's team boy has been disconnected. Ishmael Fassi lost it, which made Ronhard nearly lose it. Amazing for them to actually both get out of that. Oh, if I was Ronhard, I'd be so annoyed.
I mean, they can't keep doing this. This is not the right way to be catching up to Jarno Opmeer. It is ridiculous what is going on at the minute. There's also some great battling further back behind. Eisner is trying to get back through on Zenegradski, and then he's got Ben Shabakonya for company in behind. This is for a top 5 position, vital points, especially for Zenegradski and Eisner, because now their constructors' points are essentially halved. Yeah. So they've got to take every single position that they can, so that they can really take the fight in the team championship. It's not so much of a worry for Ben Shabakonya, and he's still in 5th position in terms of the pro drivers. But well, actually, Zenegradski and Eisner, they're fighting for the amateur win right now.
Oh, yeah, no, this is heating up. Like, this is going to get spicy, guys. If anyone's just come in recently, so there's been a change to the way that the constructors work. Each team has a pro and an amateur driver. The amateur drivers in the constructors side will only count for half of the points available now. The reasoning behind that is the professional skill set of the drivers are very close together, but the amateurs actually have a bigger sort of skill gap between them all. So it's more of an advantage to some teams than it is to the others. So because of that, it will only be half points.
And there's Ben Shabakonyi going through on both Zenegratski and Eisner. Maximilian Lukert trying to follow through down the inside of Eisner. And there is contact once again. I think that was a bit bold from Maximilian Lukert to send it up the inside. He got a little bit ambitious trying to follow through on Ben Shabakonyi. And Eisner was already turning into the corner. That was a gutsy move that didn't work out. Wing damage to... well, someone there that wasn't actually involved in the fight. I don't know who it was that got caught up. I think... No, neither of them has any... No, Maximilian Lukert. Actually, that early wing damage, Scott, that Maximilian Lukert got, he was able to come into the pits and fix it. And it's the same end plate that's come off again.
Wow. You just can't write it. You can't write it. And all the wonderful people watching tonight for the WR's Ironman, I feel like it's our duty as commentators to sometimes say some of the things that we need to say. Unfortunately, Teamboat has been DNF'd in 19th place. This is a game glitch. This is a bug sometimes when you disconnect from a lobby, your car automatically DNFs itself. We would love to see it fixed. Just goes to show that no matter what lobby you're in, these things can happen. And this is maybe one of the things that EA could do to try and fix that so that we stop seeing these sad moments happen.
I mean, I don't like to critique on the stream, but like, how difficult is it to really code that when it's been around? You know, the AI has just gone around for years on end at this point, and now all of a sudden it's not working. These issues, they need to be pounced on. Because, I mean, there's lots of rumors going on around about the future of the license and the future of esports. And if EA's not on top of these things, it's not gonna go well for them. Like, you know, and it's not going well for everyone watching at home, because we'd love to see Timbo still racing. We'd love to see 19 drivers on the script. We'd love to see 20. We do miss you, David Fincher, but yeah, it's really unfortunate that Timbo's lost out here.
Yep, he is the man behind this entire league as well. So if you're enjoying yourself, Teambo's Ironman League, an incredible thing that we're so happy to have. I do argue this is one of the greatest things in F1 league racing. Obviously, you've got the pros and the PSGL and the WR Tier 1s. They're amazing, well done. But this has been its own unique event that's very particular. It's the only time where I can sit for 100% sim race and just go, this is banging from start to finish.
And I think it's going to get even more banging in your words, Scott, because look at the leaders. Danny Berezne, he is caught up to Jarno Opmeer. He's in the DRS of Jarno. Jarno did well for, what, 8 laps to stretch away from these guys, but he's been reeled in like a big fish. I was going to swear again. I mean, I think it's being around you, even though you're not the one swearing. It's just... I just feel the urge to say it, but maybe I will once we get to like lap number 40. You know, maybe less people are watching around then. But yeah, Jarno Opmeer, the big fish of the day.
I love it. Yeah, I think I've swore once in this broadcast, and I've not. I got caught by some of my chat, but not like the main guy. Look, he didn't realise it, so let's just keep going. Yeah, I never swore. You're talking pish, right? To Balin Elicus, Teambo back trying to get back in. It's sad to see obviously what's happened, but he should be able to spectate and have a fun time as we're doing. He's found Pukki in 10th place, Dan. That's not something. Oh wait, we're okay. So Danny Berezny, sorry, it's a DRS swap. I thought we were fine there. It was just a DRS swap between Jarno and Danny. They're starting to switch it because they've got an 8.5 second gap to 5th. When did that happen?
I mean, it was all of the battling further back behind. You know, Maximilian Lukert, Balin Elicus, Zenegratski, Shabakonyi, they were in a train about just a few seconds back, and then they got into their whole scrap in towards that first corner. Lukert got some wing damage. Elicus was sent into a spin, and I'm sad to tell you as well, I saw one other driver get damage, and it was Daniel Zenegratski. He is missing a bit of his front wing. Very sad to see.
No, but mate, this fight actually for 10th, 9th, 10th, this is actually mad. So we watching this, okay, we get like 3 rows of 3, then a bit of 3 wide. Ferrari wants to maybe make it 4. Look at it going, they get 5 of them trying to get through this gap. Someone's going here. Who's going to back off? Mercedes backs off. Does the kick? McLaren, are they going to get through? Yes! Actually? Okay, fair play.
I think they've all got through very cleanly. That's a bit disappointing, to be completely honest. I mean, we shouldn't wish for any accidents, but I just want a little bit more fireworks to fly. As Tamas Kokenyi, hopefully I've got that name right. He's replacing Otis Lawrence, if I'm not mistaken, this evening. Sad to see Otis isn't racing in that Aston Martin. He would be right up the front of the order, but he's gone through on Gab, and then Gab, I think, has lost the position to Joni Tormala. Joni, come on, get into the fight, man. Get into that top 10. As Isfan Pukki, he is now up into 7th position, ahead of Balin Elikes. And it's good to see him. He's made up a few spots. He's just got so much time between him and the very top, and that is not really his fault. One thing I think we could be, could really help us in this race, safety car.
Oh yeah, I want to see a turn 1 restart again, because the first 4, they're gone by 10 seconds. Look, they're not getting caught up, and they're being smart about it, which I don't like to see. They're being smart. They're just swapping DRS. Like, they're going to do that for another 30 laps unless we can throw some chaos and some uncertainty into this race, because they're smart enough to realise that that is the most effective way to win. They want to minimise their chances. Sometimes it comes down to a last lap DRS battle, right? They're smart enough to understand this. So they want as little people involved in that lead fight as possible. So all 4 of them, you're not going to see them start fighting for maybe another 10 laps, I think. Then they might get their nails out a little to see if they can get it down to maybe a top 3 battle. Oh, run hard. That corner, I feel like that's going to catch someone out soon.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's almost caught Thomas completely out there. Ismail Fassi, he could be hungry for a move very, very soon. We saw Danny Berger lose quite a bit of time, though. To Jarno Opmeer headed in through the first sector. It invited Ronhard to get close. Then I think the Dutchman got a little bit too trigger happy on the throttle, headed through Lesmo 1, and almost binned it. He almost binned it through the second part as well, just not quite as severe. But Thomas, he does need to be careful. Ishmael as well. The pair of them, they've both had an off almost in towards that corner. And they've luckily both come away with it. But maybe at some point when the fatigue starts to set in, not just tire wear, but the actual driver fatigue, that is when maybe more mistakes are going to come out.
Oh yeah, 100%, definitely. They're used to 50%. So, you know, you can argue whether that's the right thing to do in the sort of F1 sim world, but they're used to 50%. This is 100%. So we have a yellow flag at the back as we're having overtaken Ronhard, getting that move done, going on the inside. Will he get 2 moves? Gets in front of Fassi again. Fassi deciding to go for that move. Jarno right in front of him, 0.1315 behind. Is he going to make a move? It's probably not in his nature at this moment in time to do it. But yeah, we had a yellow flag from Gab, but no safety car.
I mean, Gab, these curbs can be a little bit dangerous, so be careful, mate, not to get beached on them. I really hope that it doesn't happen like it did in Spain, because he didn't want to reset the track. Fair play to him, actually. Yeah. Fair play to for him. We didn't really touch on that, but fair play to him for not actually resetting the track. He took the DS cube like a champ, but yeah, just holding out hope that he doesn't do the same, because especially in Ascari, if he gets caught on one of the curbs there, it's curtains for him, as Thomas Ronhard's all over the back of Jarno Opmeer. These two got quite a rivalry. Brewing. Thomas Ronhard, of course, being the sort of new gen Jarno Opmeer, the pair of them being from the Netherlands, and especially online, there's a big divide on whether you're a Jarno Opmeer fan or you're a Thomas Ronhard fan, and it could come to a head in towards this first corner. Maybe not right now as they head in towards that first turn. Thomas Ronhard looking towards the inside line of Danny Berger, who gets swallowed up by the pack, and Ronhard down the inside of Jarno Opmeer. Didn't quite get the move that time by, but that is a sign of more things to come.
He just loves ascent, and you know what? I love it as well. Maybe if I was driving next to him, I'd be like, mate. But see, watching it, I'm just like, yes, mate, come on, give us it, send it. Let's see what we can do, because they're still getting further away from fifth. Ben Chabot-Connier, he's in that place where you don't want to be, right? 10 seconds in front of you to the next car, and 5 seconds behind you to the car behind. You are gonna have a long night, Ben. If there's no safety car, you're gonna be just admiring the views.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think I'd rather be fighting down in 13th, 14th than being in 5th and just by myself, because, I mean, I wouldn't be there anyways. I'm poor at this game, very much so. I don't think I've driven more than 3 hours on this game, honestly. All of my time is just dedicated to commentary. But, yeah, I would rather be down in those lower positions than where Ben Chabot-Connier is, because he's got no chance of catching the guys in front of him, and it's only a matter of time before the likes of Istvan Pukki catches up to him. Of course, the 2 Hungarian drivers, that could be fun, seeing them battle at some point, but Bench, he's got a bit of time to wait.
Yeah, so going back into turn, this is this long DRS straight into turn 1 and turn 2. This is where you're going to see the moves making. Danny Berezny wants that second place, so he's going to make the move in Jarno, who probably won't fight it at this stage. Yeah, what am I talking about? He's going, of course he's fighting it. Get done to the limit. Jarno staying in second, but Ronhard using this moment, he is sweat at this game, so he made his helmet too big so that I can't see his ERS, thank you. But Jarno has got 50% battery as well. Ismail Fassi on the inside gets the overtake done on Danny, roughly about 50% of his battery as well. And Danny, of course, Sweat as well, decides not to show us his ERS. I'm telling you, Dan, we need to ban these big helmets.
Absolutely, I think it might be the camera angle and it's something to do with the Mercedes, because I don't think Danny could do that himself. Bless him. I think we're giving him a bit of a bad rap. But yeah, we can't see his ERS. So actually I can kind of see over the top with my camera view.
Oh.
I can have a little look, but it's only when he's sort of down
Moving,
the straights and the helmet's being dragged back due to the actual drag of the car. In the braking zone when he leans forwards, I can't see his battery.
Right, love it. Well, they're all flashing and conserving as much as they can. So what you'll find is this is not, oh, Zenegratsky, my guy, gets another 3-second time penalty. I've still seen him make amazing moves. He is actually getting a little bit of pressure from Joni Tormala behind as well. Will he be making a move as we have a move going into turn 1? Ronhard loses a couple of 3 spots. Everyone just went through. By on you go. Thomas Ronhard down to 4th.
I mean, these guys are just going to swap and change every single lap, and there's only so many times you can shout over a move like that. It's a 2 Alpine swap over. Nice stuff. Joni Tormala, he could be up the inside of Balon Elikas as well. He gets through on both Zenegratsky and Elikas in towards that first corner. Onto the back of Istvan Pukki. This could be very fun. Istvan Pukki, of course, recently joining the Mercedes esports team. Joni Tormala has been a part of the F1 sim racing scene for a very long time. So this is sort of the veterancy of Joni Tormala and the youthful sort of, I don't really have the words for it, but just the young Istvan Pukki could be a nice clash of character.
I love it. See, when you don't know what to say, just say banging, mate. That's how I do it, alright? If I don't know what to say, it's just banging, mate. And to be honest, Monza, 23 laps in, has been quite exciting. We've definitely seen the sort of pace slow down a little bit as we're getting into that sort of middle for it. I'll phone up my connections and see if I can get us a wee safety car. I'm thinking Elray, you know, if I know some Spanish, I'll go and ask him. But it just goes to show, like, see, sometimes if you're sitting there wondering how fast would I be in this lobby, Elray in 17th kicks my ass every race by half a lap. He's insanely fast to race with, and he just absolutely goes for it. But seeing him come into this lobby, it just goes to show that jump to that sort of proper professional tier 1 sort of level, F1 esports sim sport, whatever the hell it's called, it really is quite incredible.
Absolutely is. I mean, I've seen more battles further back behind Eisner. I mean, a lot of these moves, Scott, they're just in towards turn number 1. I want to see through the Curva Grande. That is the most fun spot, I think, on this circuit to actually see a battle, because that is just, they're side by side through a high-speed right-hander. It's unbelievable to watch. And I'm just hoping for a safety car as well at some point. I mean, I like seeing all these guys in their own individual battles. I wouldn't like to see anyone out of this race, but definitely a safety car could be, especially around this time, could be very exciting to see.
Just saying, get me in this lobby. I'm giving you 4 safety cars every race, and we're gonna love it. Okay, I'm just saying. Right. So I've went to the tyre info just so that we can see. There's not many drivers. Oh, Istvan Pukki just gets that move done before Scary. That is a dodgy place. We've not really seen too much go wrong, but that's the type of cornering system that you can do 50 times, and just one of those times you'll just take a little bit too much curb or something and you'll go flying off.
Oh yeah, I mean, Scary is so difficult, especially in qualifying when you're pushing with absolutely everything. It's so easy to just turn in ever so slightly too much, then invalidate your lap. I've done it countless times around this circuit over the years. I think I've been playing F1 for like 7 years now, and I still, after all this time, I managed to mess up down there.
I love it. Are you a controller guy or are you a wheel guy?
I started out on the controller, then around, I think, F1 2019, that's when I hopped on the wheel. And 2020 I was pretty all right at the game, but don't play it anymore. I'm just terrible.
I'm a full traction control merchant these days. That's what keeps me going. I can handle the shock to my ego. Alright, I don't need it. To be fair though, F124 has actually been extremely generous in the full traction control. I've been able to do some quite fast times in it, which is a bit shocking. Obviously Yarno and others have done videos on this as well. If you want to see that on YouTube, very interesting. So yeah, going back to this top train, they're sort of chilling right now. We've got a battle for sort of 6th and 7th as well. Istvan Pukki and Yoni, sorry. They're trying to do their best to catch up to Ben Shabbat, who probably is hoping they could just catch him and then he can start DRS swapping, because that was about 5. If we go back, it was about 5 seconds. Oh, as we're all, oh man, we're getting close and spicy this time going into turn 1. Are they all going to make it through? Yes, they are.
He's gone through all of them there. You know, Thomas Ronhart at the start of that straight, he was down in 4th position. He turned on the battery at the perfect moment, just slipstreamed off the back of Danny Berejnay, slipped on through, went up the inside and took the lead of that Grand Prix in a very nice fashion for Thomas Ronhart.
Oh, I love it as it's getting really close between the Alpine and the RB as well. No given. And he's Van Pookie's 6th place, 2.5 seconds behind Bench.
I mean, Istvan Pukki's been able to catch up, and that's because they've all been DRSing off each other as well. I think a few laps ago, that was about 5 seconds, and now since they've all been swapping and changing positions, DRS slipstreaming off each other, and Jabba had none of that. It's just meant he has been sort of a sitting duck. He's been doing practice laps. You can't even call it quali laps because you're nowhere near as quick as you normally would be. He's just going around. It tests his mental fortitude, because driving on this game for so many laps by yourself, torture, I'd say.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see the fastest lap so far is Milfassi at 120.8. That is slower than what we would be expecting. So I do think they're not going full sort of pace here. And they're just sort of chilling into this sort of long race. Thomas Ronhart going for the lead, gets that move done. Don't think Jarno or Danny will be making a move here. Nope, they'll be chilling there. So you can see some of the penalties down below as well. I do not want to be Maximilian right now, I'm just saying.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
How many has he got? 16 seconds, lad. Oh dear.
Yeah.
He got it for speeding in the pit lane, and I guess he's got 2 sets of 3-second penalties. So he's racking them up, and if you get to around about 30 seconds, I think you get disqualified. So we're about halfway into this race, and he's got half of what you need to get disqualified. I'm saying the future's looking a bit bleak if you're Maximilian Luquet.
Yeah, I think so. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're enjoying this race tonight and any other races, please follow WOR and the Ironman League on all the social media platforms as well. The reason that people turn up and watch is the reason why we keep putting on these great events. It's a worldwide thing, all the way from the guys in Hungary, bringing it here and getting it to a platform like yourself. Such a cool thing, it really is. If you're coming in, what this was no qualifying, 100% race, where the professional drivers were put to the back of the grid and the amateur drivers were put to the front. You can now see the positions gained on the track. So for instance, Ron Hart up 11 spots, Edgemont Fassi 12, Jarno 14, and you can see Bendy Balax down 11, Sonia Vaya Gabor down 10, and Elray down 10 as well. It's quite amazing. It gives these pros that type of challenge to get to the top and prove your worth, but it also gives our amateur guys a sort of taste at what the professional level's like, and if they can even beat them, which to be fair, sometimes they do.
Yeah, well, at the minute, Balin Elikis, he's ahead of Joni Tormala as it stands. As Thomas Ronhart, he's left the session. If his car DNFs, Thomas Ronhart's had some sort of problem. He got away with murder basically earlier on in this race, and I think the luck has maybe it lagged for about 18 laps here. I think that one might be what it actually is. But Thomas Ronhart, he's now out of the DRS of Danny Berejnay. His race is done.
Yeah, because the AI level is not set very high. As you can see, he's losing time. He's gone. This is the AI driving for him now and not himself. And that brings it down to a 3-car train. We were waiting. This is what the other drivers needed, was one less person to fight with. They only need 2 drivers at this stage, first and second place, to just swap for 30 laps and then fight it out at the end. But obviously Danny's still fighting in there for third. Hate to see it with Ron Hart. Goes back to what we were saying about earlier. Hopefully he can get back in without his car DNF. And so, going down to the other fight, we've got Balin Elikis as well, Yoni, we get Zenegratsky, who I think is just happy to stay at the back of this train for now. He's thinking points. Like, this man can do some amazing things, I've noticed, with a lot of time penalties. You know, he can get far enough away that he doesn't lose out too much.
Oh yeah, as Thomas Ronhart is back in the lobby as well, and I really hope that he's able to get back in with no issues. He's not going to disconnect again like Timbo had millions and millions of times. I think Thomas Ronhart, he is back in the lobby, but he's a whole 4 seconds to the rear of the top 3, and it's going to be what's happened with Ben Shabbat. He's not going to be able to catch up at all, and those guys behind him, they're going to slipstream, DRS off each other, whatever, they're going to catch up to him.
Yeah, something we hate to see, but if he's been able to get back in, then that is better than nothing. If there's a safety car, if there's anything like that, he's right back in that fight for first place again. Hate to see it. But Johnny Tormela and stuff are fighting for this ninth, getting a little bit close as well. But yeah, as you can see, sometimes the DRS can be quite powerful, so it encourages drivers to wait for those moments. If anyone doesn't know what it is, you get an extra sort of speed boost in these long straights if you're within a second of the car in front. So you get more miles per hour, kilometers per hour, whatever you want to call it, and you get a bit closer to overtaking in front. So what you find is a lot of the drivers will wait to that moment to then make that move into, let's say, turn 1 or just into a scary.
Yeah, it's always in towards turn at number 1, as there is Ishmael Fassi making an example of that, going up to the inside of Jan Watmir into that first corner, easy as you like. I wonder how it's going to be further back down the order, because finally Istvan Pukki has actually caught up to Ben Shabakonyi. Looks a little bit far back to go for the moving towards the first corner this time by, but he is closing. Yanni Tormela's on the rear of Balan Elekis. Could he go for a move? No, he's going to hang back for now, just for now, Scott. But these 5 could make for a very exciting fight. You've got 3 pros and 2 amateurs in this train, and I think that could be a recipe for either one of the most banging battles of all time, or a disaster class. So we'll see which one it is.
Yes, mate. And I think it's sad to say I don't think Ron Hart's back in. 11 seconds off the pace now. That feels like AI driving to me. Ben Shabakonyi is starting to catch up. He might get 1 lap of DRS if he's lucky before he overtakes and flies off into the distance as well. But it just goes to show the actual sheer pace of of these top 3 with that DRS. They are so far in front of everyone, it's actually a bit ridiculous. If this keeps up in 10 odd laps, they could even be fighting for an extra pit stop, because they'll be hitting that 20-second mark.
This isn't a very long pit straight, and I'm wondering if it's about 17 seconds between Ben Shabakonyi and Danny Berejnay at the minute. I wonder if the leaders can actually pit and nearly have an entire pit stop over the rest of the field.
Oh, definitely. What's that? We're looking at 18 seconds right now from Danny to Ben Shabakonyi, 3rd to 5th. 18 seconds. Like, I feel like you're maybe losing 21 seconds or something for this pit stop with those new tyres. Could be softs, could be anything. Istvan Pukki getting the move done on Ben Shabakonyi for the first time. He'll be happy to just have someone to race with, Dan, right?
Oh yeah, Ben Shabakonyi is just, he's thankful he's finally seen someone. He's just been looking at the mirage of the circuit. He's all by himself, and someone has finally come out of the distance. It's like he was in a desert and someone's appeared right in front of him with a big bottle of water in their hands. And Ben Shabakonyi, he's going to be drinking that one up all night long.
Indeed, until he gets taken out or something, because this fight from like Elikas, Tormela, Zenigratsky, Eisner, Kokkinen, Max as well, it's like, obviously they've spread out a bit now, but that got a bit intense earlier. I'm sure we'll see some things like that.
Oh my god, I'm worried.
Oh,
yeah, there it is, Thomas Ronhaar out of this race, but his car is right in the middle of the circuit, which is very interesting indeed. But yeah, it's a real shame for Thomas Ronhaar out of this race. That is so strange. I don't know why.
I know.
In any situation, why that is a real thing.
No, I don't. Words cannot explain. Doesn't matter if you're a Jarno fan, Ron Hart fan, doesn't matter who you are. At the end of the day, when you come on to watch these events, you want to see some of the best drivers in the world have those battles, you know? We all love to hate people and we hate to love people, right? It's just one of the ways it happens, and to have the battles taken away in circumstances like that is a bit sad. But you know what? We're going to have to move on, because Istvan Pukki is telling us all, like, don't worry guys, I'm going to give you a banging show for the rest of the race. I'm going to get Connie in the wall, I'm going to get Elikas in the wall, I'm going to finish in the podium. And I'm like, let's go Istvan, let's do it.
Yeah, go on Istvan, he's all over the back of Ben Shabakonyi and towards the De La Rozier chicane, but he's not quite close enough to go for the move this time by Danny Berejnay. Has overtaken Ishmael Fassi, I think, off the exit of Lesmo 2. Did Ishmael have another incident through there? I saw at one point that you didn't catch it on stream, but Ronhaar had an almost half spin through Lesmo 1, and I think Ishmael might have done it again. So these guys through that corner, I don't know why they're not just taking it a little bit more carefully every time they go through it.
It's because they know best. But yeah, I think you're right. I think at the moment, Danny just not messing around. Oh, as you can see, just getting through his skies. It's such a beautiful track. I do love this track. Obviously, it can sometimes be a bit DRS trainy, But it's such a cool track as well. It's provided so many cool moments throughout the years and will provide so much more as well. But you can see that. So Eastvan into 4th. Let's look at the winners and losers so far. So Jarno up 17 spots at this moment. You can just see. You can just see. So who I'm looking at is I'm looking at Yoni. He's only up 4 spots. You know, he's definitely lacked a little bit of pace in this race. Actually goes for a move into 6th place. Let's see if that works out. Ben Shabble Corny. Oh, he's going on. There's that my guy Zenegratsky. He's going for it. Into 8th place. No, he's going to stay behind. It's Yoni and Belen Elikas. And you can see they're going so close to each other. Getting their fists out. Oh my god, is Yoni just going to... Yeah, he's going to go for it.
Oh
he's been
God.
nearly pushed to the outside. Dan is going to make it. Yes. Wow.
Into the corner they go. Yoni had to fight for that one. Ballant was not having it at all into that chicane. He almost put Yoni into the gravel, which was very dangerous to do for the very least. And now Zenegratsky, he needs to fight for his teammate. He's all over the back of Ballant Elekis in towards Ascari. Or is Ballant going to go for it himself? I mean, they're in one big DRS train at the minute. That kind of makes it difficult to actually make the move stick. But Yoni's not going to forget that one in a heartbeat. He might be older than everyone else, but his memory's still on top.
I like that. That was good. Yeah, no, totally. The elbows get. This is what I need. I need some elbows out. I need some elbows. I know. You just have to follow DRS trains and stuff. But at the end of the day, let's send that. Let's have some fun. Jarno into 3rd place now. Danny and Ishmael going for it a little bit close there, but staying out. Look at that gap, Dan. 19.3 seconds. We are close to that, having a whole pit stop. Starting to remind me of like Verstappen in 2023 when they just... I can't remember what track it was, but they just went for an extra pit stop at the end. Mind?
I mean, that was maximum disrespect from Red Bull there. They did not care whatsoever. And yeah, I mean, they are very far ahead at the minute. And one thing I've just noticed as well, I'm sure the viewers at home as well have noticed, look at the weather. We had some clear blue skies just a few laps ago, a little bit of cloud coverage, and now it's completely grey at the minute. We know that there is rain due very, very soon, and I think it could be coming sooner rather than later. It might be here already.
I see it. It's there, literally just as you're speaking. You masterman, Dan. Yes, we have rain, and we've seen it on this game. The rain hits fast. I wouldn't even be surprised if someone pits now. Do you know what I mean? It's incredibly fast that it comes down, and it makes very quick decisions. We could see DRS off at the end, literally a lap from now. Or sometimes it could just take 10 minutes to come. But looking at that already, from when it started raining, which was about 20 seconds ago to now, it's already 5 times worse.
Wow, it is absolutely, it's beginning to chuck it down on circuit already. Danny Beresnay struggling for grip through the first corner. And if I'm someone further back down the order, you know, outside the top 10, I would be considering just coming into the pit lane and looking for an early stop, trying to undercut some of these guys. It's just a case of when that hits. It sort of is. It's a lot of luck, really, because you don't necessarily know when it is going to change completely. And the Inters are going to be the quicker tyres. Maximilian Lukert is that one driver coming into the pit lane. He might be getting a new front. He's serving a 10-second time penalty as well, so a big shame for him. But he could be getting that front wing service. It could be a very long stop for Lukert, but he'll be onto the Inters.
Yeah, a few at the back are going for it. Why not? They've got nothing to lose. Look at it already. This is what I'm talking about. It's been just about 1 lap since we've seen the rain, and it's now looking like a wet track. I think these guys are coming in this lap. We'll see who's going to make the plan. Any double stacks? Yeah, RB. They need to watch out. 5th and 7th. They could have a bad time here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, they are struggling for grip at the front. Ishmael Fassi's drifting through that corner, but despite that, he will stay out, as will Jan Watmir. Danny Beresnay makes the earlier pit stop. I wonder what about those behind. Very interesting to see that Ishmael, considering how much he was struggling through that final corner, and Jarno as well, mind you, they both decided to stay out for an extra lap. We'll see if that comes to bite them.
Jarno just absolutely lost it on turn 1 and turn 2. Lost at least a second of time from skidding. I think he'll be regretting his decision at this moment in time. Looks like it's going to be a slow in-lap for both drivers.
Yeah, and Ishmael Fassi is all over the rear of Jan Ortmir, but he doesn't want to go for the move in towards the chicane. He's having to be very light on the brakes and having to brake slightly earlier. They're sacrificing a lot of time. Danny Beresnay, he's come out onto the circuit and he's blitzed right by on Zenegratsky. I have no clue why Jan Ortmir and Ishmael Fassi decided to stay out on their tyres.
Mate, they do this to us every week, and I start questioning Yarno's strategies, and then somehow he makes it work. Either he's making really bad calls and he's just fast enough to fix them, or he's just like a level above, do you know what I mean? But every week I've been sitting here, and I'm sure the viewers that have been watching week in as well will be like, "What? You can't read a man like Yarno, right? You just can't read him, but he somehow makes it work."
He always does, and I don't know what it is. He might be some robot or something. He just has perfect decision making. There's the DRS getting disabled. That is normally the call point. If you haven't come into the pits, get into the box immediately, because your tyres are just not going to work in these conditions. Danny Beresnay gaining tenths of a second every single corner. Ishmael Fassi and Jan Watmir into the box a lap too late.
Mate, look at how close Danny is. Wait, he's going to be flying away here, man. He's already coming onto the DRS straight now. Well, obviously, lack of DRS straight. I'm curious here. So, here we go. They've literally just got the pits done. They're on their way out. Danny into first. Let's see where they're just coming out there, but you can see the difference already from their POV. That is 4 or 5, 6 seconds, I think.
Yeah, they have completely dropped the ball with this strategy. It's 4.5 down at turn number 1 for Danny Beresnay ahead of Jan Watmir, and we shouldn't have dry conditions for a very long time at this point. Denigratsny, Eisner, and Balash, they're all into the pit lane as well, so those guys had to stay out an extra lap as well. I think that the RBs, I think they double stacked, and even though Ballant, he's about 5.6 behind, it's worked out in the end for him because he's been able to stay ahead of Zenigratsky.
Yeah, you're right. The lesser evil there, I guess. He's made that work to the best of his ability. Sometimes it's hard to make a call like that. Sometimes you just think that if you stay out an extra lap, you won't lose that much time. But like we've seen it with McLaren, right? I think it was at Silverstone with Lando and Piastri staying out that extra lap. Literally, nearly lost Piastri about 15 seconds. It is amazing how much time you can lose in a lap. Go back to Haas, for instance, the opposite way, and was it Canada when they went with the wet tyres and went from like last to nearly first? Amazing stuff.
Absolutely, and Danny Beresnay, he's nailed this strategy. Jarno and Ishmael, they're not really catching at this point. They're beginning to lose time to Danny Beresnay, and of course no DRS in these wet weather conditions. They can't do what the likes of Ishram Pookie and Yoni Tormla Ballant they did to catch up to the back of Jabberconny, because there's no DRS to be had. The ERS is slightly weaker in these conditions. I'd imagine the slipstream is going to be a little bit more a little bit worse. And so Ishmael Fassi, Jan Watmir, they're going to have a very difficult time catching to Danny, who is loving life at the front.
Oh, mate, he's just like, do you know what, guys? I know yous are fast, but it's not just about the speed of where you can put your throttle down. It's also about the minds, right? It's about that decision making. And they certainly dropped the ball here. But at the same time, like, yes, Jarno and Ismail just kind of messed that up a little and lost 5 seconds. And you would think that's a lot. 5 seconds of some races can be the difference between 1st and 20th. But he's still 16.9 seconds behind the rest of the field. What they have done has steamrolled this lobby. All 3 of them. Danny to the best of his ability, obviously. But they've steamrolled this lobby so far.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Those 3, and Thomas Ronhard, bless him,
yeah.
Who's not in this race anymore. They absolutely just demolished the grid throughout the entirety of this race. And well, Danny Beresnay, he's doing it by himself now. Ishmael and Jarno, despite, we're saying how they've dropped the ball, they're still 17 seconds clear of Ishmael Pookie at the minute. So I don't think you can really shout at them too much here. And we still have a dry period yet to come. I don't know when that's going to happen or whether or not the slicks will actually be the better tyre. But there is a dry patch of weather coming by the end of this race. So we'll have to wait and see when that is, how that's going to impact things. But for now, Danny Beresnay, loving life.
Yeah, like for instance, we never see soft tyres used in these long races anymore, but if the rain dries up at like lap 43 to 48, then you never know what's going to happen, right? Taking a look on board, it still looks very wet. Johnny Tormla going for the move on his fan Pookie, gets it done into 4th place, easy as you like, just another DRS turn 1 overtake. Done.
Yeah, nice stuff from Yoni Tormla. He was struggling a little bit to make his way up the order. It's good to see him now into P4, up 7 spots in this Grand Prix. Of course, the top 6, they will come right from the back of the order. And Danny Beresnay is up 15 places in this Grand Prix. So is Jarno Watmir. Ishmael's up 12. Bench is up 13, that is. So these guys, they made up their way through the order. They got through all of the amateur drivers. And so it's all fair game for them.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, amazing, but we expect it from these drivers. But you know who I'm looking at? Tamish Kokone. He's up 11 spots. He's done absolutely incredible for himself.
Yeah, Tamish Kokane, I mean, starting in last position, he's not a driver that I'm all too familiar with, but being a part of the pro scene, he's done really well to make his way up the order. And even though it is considerably closer in the F1 esports tier, I mean, not to like disrespect them or anything, but Tamish Kokane, Maximilian Luca, Milan Meyer, those guys, whilst they are better than our amateur drivers, they are not as quick as Jan Otmir, Ismail Fassi, Danny Bergelet. So the skill gap is still there. And to be able to make up 11 spots in this Grand Prix, whilst, you know, the likes of Maximilian Luca, Milan Meyer, they've really struggled to get their feet off the ground. It's been a very good race so far from Tamash.
Yeah, but do you know who's just doing his own thing? Zenegratsky. This guy, he's doing what I look. This is what he does. He gets penalties, and then I go, "Oh, come on, Daniel, come on, mate." And then he's just like, "Don't worry, mate. I'm going to get 6 seconds ahead of this guy. Don't worry." And that's nearly what he's done. He's about 4.5 seconds behind in front of Kokone. Needs about 1.2. Oh well, it's Kokane's got 3 seconds. So there you go. He's already kept 8th place at this moment in time, and that's what I love to see. Him finishing in the top 10, no matter what penalties he gets.
And that's second position in the amateur drivers, so he's on for a podium at the minute. I think he will have second position because Tamash is going to be classed as a pro driver. Eisner's about, what, 9 seconds back from him or something? I think maybe 10 seconds almost back from Daniel Zenegratsky, and with his penalties, only 6 seconds, which is actually pretty good for him, so well done, lad. But I mean, there's still 14 laps of this race left to go. Maximilian Luca, he's got another set of penalties. Luckily, he served that 10-second one that he's got, but he still had 9 seconds added to his race time here.
That's just like, I remember last season watching Brendan Lee lose a race win because of 3 seconds, and we were like, "Oh, Brendan, what have you done?" Especially because he got on a safety car as well, and you're like, "Oh, mate," but like looking at 9 seconds, that must be a bit demoralizing at this point, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this, again, with the 100% races, it is a lot mental. These guys, especially chugging around in these wet conditions, it can be very difficult to actually keep your mind completely focused. We've seen it slip slightly from Maximilian Luca this evening, but I don't really blame him. He's a very young driver. He's up and coming at the minute. He's got bags of talent, bags of pace. Just needs to refine it in these race conditions. And I'd say leagues like Ironman League are absolutely perfect for that, because the points are won in the racing conditions, and you're able to fight with some of these amateur drivers and really get your experience with being one of the quicker guys and trying to make your way through the field.
Yeah, love it. Great points made as well. Ismail Fassi right behind Yarno, but you know what? They've caught up by half a second. I don't know how. Let's take a look. Oh, Yarno's using, but Ismail Fassi's not. Very interesting. Just to look at the difference of ERS between Yarno and Ismail. But I hope they sort of switch it up every few laps and let the other guy just sort of burn his battery. Like, this is what smart racers would have to do now, right? You go ahead of me now, Dan. Use all your battery. Let me conserve it, and then in 2 laps I'll take you over and I will use all my battery. Right? It's how you can. The only way you're ever going to catch Danny at this point.
Yeah, they are struggling to catch him at the minute. They've got 5.1 seconds between Danny Bergelet and Ismail Fassi at the minute, but that has pretty much been stagnant for the last couple of laps, and they really are hoping for the dry conditions to come very, very soon. Having a look at the rain I'm seeing, and I don't think it's drying up really. The rain certainly doesn't look any lighter, and I think if we're going to see these dry conditions, Scott, it's going to come maybe at lap 50, and there's no point coming in for the slicks.
I think you're right, unless this magically changes. Just look how grey drizzly it is. A sad wet day in Italy. It looks like we might be seeing the rain all the way come, but then you never know. That'll create its own challenges, right? When a drying track on very hot inters, you could see some difference in pace there as well. So it might give us something if it dries soon. It might give us something even if it's not soft tires.
Yeah, I think it could be very exciting if we get the DRS at the end of this race, and then maybe Arno Otmir, they like to play these strategy games actually with the DRS. But it's one big game of chicken, really. They don't. Neither of them wants to take the DRS, and so they might hold each other up heading down that straight, trying to sort of let the other one through. No, you go first. No, you go first. And one of them's got to go at some point. I wonder who it's going to be if we do see the DRS come back into play. Ismail Fassi, in this last lap, he's gained ever so slightly on the back of Danny Berejnay. It's marginal gain, Scott, but if they can do that every couple of laps or so and close up to the rear of Danny and then take a big chunk of that gap, maybe on one lap, they could still challenge him towards the end of this race.
Definitely, but they're looking at roughly half a second every lap that they sort of need to gain. They're not gaining that so far. To be fair, as I'm saying that, they're sort of making me feel silly because they're coming in. But do you know what I'm noticing? Now, this is far-fetched. I don't know if this is within the rules, but we're in a Mercedes sandwich here, Dan. Danny's getting very close to Gab. I'm just saying. So, you know, like maybe there's going to be some blue flag tactics. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe. I mean, I don't really know. I don't typically see in league races drivers getting lapped.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
It happens a lot in real F1, but when these cars are all equal, you don't typically see drivers go so far behind they're actually having to get out of the way of other drivers. So I wonder how that blue flag rule is kind of implemented on this F1 24 game, and whether or not Gab is going to have to get out of the way as soon as he can, or if he's able to hold up the likes of Jan Otmir and Ishmael Fassi and let Danny Berejnay cruise away with the lead.
Just saying though, like, do I really want to get myself involved in a Berezny Fassi and Otmir fight, especially with all their chats and communities and stuff? I don't think I want to get in the middle of that.
Oh no, absolutely not. I mean, during these races, I like to just sort of block out the live chat sometimes. I love talking to everyone in between and stuff, but I mean, especially when Thomas DNF'd, I looked over and I was disappointed to see the response, but you know what?
Oh, boo! That's what I say.
That was.
Sorry. Boo the lot of them, right? Be nice.
You know, I mean, there's 1,400 people almost watching here this evening. We're very grateful for all of you, but please do enjoy the racing that we've got on your screens. What other leagues do you go to and you see 100% race with all these amateur drivers and the pro esports guys starting at the back? Enjoy it, drink it in, because this is really the only spot in the league racing scene that you're going to get racing like this.
Yeah, definitely. And some Scottish guys saying get in the bin as well. Right, get in the bin for one of yous. Let's keep it going. Yoni in 5th, fighting with Eastfan Pukey for really just 4th place. Like, they're 20 seconds off. Like, 19.5 is the difference between 3rd and 4th. I'm still a bit speechless at that. Oh, but that gap with the Mercedes, actually. Let's look at Gab for a second. Let's look at his, like, he's there, right? Okay, and here's Danny. He can see him. He can see him. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still about 5 seconds, maybe, between the two, but that's how close that we're getting towards having to get lapped. Now, in normal conditions, obviously the blue flag comes out, you go to the side, you let the fast drivers go, you don't mess with anything. But, you know, it's F1 24, and, you know, it's a bunch of different skill set people. Sometimes people don't like being lapped, Dan, right? They don't like it at all.
No, but Gab, he's been quite nice with Danny in this race. He's let him through earlier on, and then Danny repaid the favour and let him come into the pits before when they were in the interchangeable conditions. So I think Danny Berejnay and Gab, they've got a connection together. I think it'll all be okay. But, yeah, I mean, who knows? I know you're absolutely right. Some guys do not like getting lapped. Some guys really hate getting overtaken. I remember when I was league racing, there was just this one guy, you never could get through on him. He will burn you could be in 15th position. Yeah. He could be on worn out hard tyres, you're on fresh softs, and he just will not let you go through under any circumstance, and he'll just spin himself out. And I'm just like, right, sweet, see you through. But I don't think we've got anyone like that on the grid today.
It's funny because I know people like that as well. Everyone knows a guy like that, right? So they're getting there, but I feel like this is going to Danny's testament of that on his own, with that pressure, just straight up in the front in first place. And since we changed to intermediate tyres, when was that? That was 9 or 10 laps. He's only lost 0.8 of a second to you know, like second or third. They've only gained by 0.8 of a second since then. I think that's quite mad, to be fair. Berezny's just showing, especially when we're going on to F1 Sim Championships later in the year, that he is right up there with the best, especially in rain.
Oh, yeah, he is fantastic. In the race as well. I mean, Danny Berejnay, he has always been incredibly good. He's always been sort of the bridesmaid, never the bride when it comes to F1 Sim racing. I think I said that last time I was here. You know, he was teammates with He was teammates with Brendan Lee when he won his championship in 2018, and then I think in 2021 maybe, no, 2020 when Jan Otmir won his title with Alfa Romeo Sauber. Danny Bergeret was there as well, so he's won 2 teams championships, and he's watched 2 of his teammates win a title, but he's never been able to do it himself. And I wonder, being that sort of lead guy at Mercedes, what's it? Danny Bergeret, Jake Benham, and Isfan Pookie. I think Danny Bergeret, he has got every chance of maybe bringing a fight in the F1 Sim Racing Championship.
Yeah, well, races like this will certainly help his confidence, to be honest. He has been a champion of Ironman before. He has beat out a lot of great drivers. Sometimes, though, what you find is maybe some drivers can't make the weekends and all that, every round, etc., etc. But what we've seen so far with like Danny and Jarno specifically, they've been here, they've been slogging it. Jarno is in first, but not by much. Ismail Fassi and Isfan Pookie as well definitely are right up there as well. But I feel like Danny, Jarno, and Ismail have definitely, obviously Ron Hart to an extent, we need to give him it. He was up there. He got disconnected. But they have put their foot down. Wait a minute, Dan, do you see what I see?
What do I see? Is there a lack of rain on our screens? I think there might be. Yeah, there's nothing. The rain is completely stopped. It was going pretty heavy just a second ago. I was looking, I was like, when's this going to stop? We're supposed to have dry period. And then all of a sudden, the rain stops. And what happens on this game, Scott, is that when the rain switches off, it's gone. I mean, it takes maybe a lap or 2 to get into the dry conditions again. So I wonder, are we going to see anyone try for it? I don't see why not. If you're in the top 3, like Ismail Fassi or Jarno Otmir, they've basically got a full pit stop to Isfan Pookie anyways. What if they both pitted? I mean, that would be something special.
Oh, like, I don't want to be Danny right now. I want to be Jarno and Ismail, where I just take the chance and see what happens. But Danny, if he makes the wrong decision here, he's throwing away a win, right? He's throwing away a win. He's got 4 seconds. What's the difference between soft tyres and intermediate tyres per lap around Monza? I don't know on a dry track. I would maybe argue it's still maybe only 6 or 7 seconds a lap. So that would be, theoretically, you need 2.5 laps, roughly, to gain up. So you would need to be alone in lap 50. Actually, we could see this. I feel like they're going to have to... Yeah, I feel like they're going to actually have to come onto softs here.
I think so. I mean, Jarno Otmir is closing to the back of Gab at the minute. I wonder... They've caught Gab at a very poor spot as well, because it is right at the chicane. And what happened with Danny and his teammate is that Gab gave him the slipstream down the straight, right at the last minute, ducked out of the way, and Gab, very respectful there, getting out of the way as early as he can. He pulls off to the left-hand side. That's a round of applause for him there.
Let's go, Gab. Let's go. I love to see it, mate. Better man than me. I'd be like, nah, mate. Can't have been Jarno. That'd be me. Anyway, Joni Torbala and Isfan Pookie fight as well. Yeah, no, this is it. None of these drivers want to have to go onto soft tyres here. I wouldn't imagine, because it's going to be risky. There's going to be someone that stays out, and we're going to find out what was the play to go. But sorry, I just want some chaos and violence, right? Let's do this. But no, they're going to be doing it. I don't know. I think they got to go now, Dan. I think they just got to pull the plug and go onto softs.
I've never heard anyone in my life tell Jarno Otmir to get in the bin.
I'm sorry.
You've told the 2-time F1 Sim Racing champion, the 3-time WOR Tier 1 champion to get in the bin. I
mean, like, get in a fancy bin, right? Okay, it doesn't have to be rags, right? Like, you can decorate it if you want, but yeah, mate, they're staying out.
They are. They are. Ooh, there's Ismail going for the lead, but there's not. Oh, not for the lead. Sorry, for P2 in this race. I'm losing my mind. But yeah, there's no DRS been enabled just yet, and you can see there's a slight glaze on the circuit when they come under the floodlights. So it's still wet on track. The Inters are still going to be the quicker tyre, but I think maybe next lap or so, that's when it's going to happen.
Pit games are getting played. Isfan Pookie actually convinced me he was going into the pit there. He was trying to send Joni in. I think they think on the track that it should be into... Oh, Benjo Sabaconia and Belen Elikas. Okay, so let's keep an eye on Sabaconia. He's went for it. He's pulled the plug. He will be going on his soft tyres. He must be. And we're going to see if that gains anything. So keep an eye. Zenogratsky is deciding to stay out. So this is a really good battle. This is a good... layer something to tell us what is actually quicker. Dan, I'm flustered. Take over.
I think Balen Elikas might have just fumbled the win here in the amateur division, because he was leading ahead of Daniel Zenogratsky, and he is coming to the pit lane again behind his teammate, and he's been held up, and so now he sits in 11th position at the minute. That is 3rd place in the in the amateur tier, which is still a decent finishing position, but it could have been a whole lot more. Now Daniel Zanagratsky has a perfect chance of winning the amateur division, as there's Ishmael Fassi. The DRS has been enabled. No. This is exciting. One of the drivers in the top 3, Scott, are in the pits.
When Jarno's just doing everything I would have said not to do, and he's went for it again. Okay, Jarno and Ishmael were right with each other. So this is it. Ishmael Fassi has 3 laps to catch up 20 seconds. Does that not just sound mad?
I mean, if he's able to get that done, I don't know what I'm going to do. I will lose my mind on the stream. And Ishmael is going to have to get himself through some traffic in Joni Tormala, who's decided to stay out on circuit. Isvan Pukki was also in that fight, but he's just come into the pit lane. But we'll have a look. I'm watching on board with Ishmael Fassi. I'm going to see how quickly he can close to the back of Joni Tormala. It's going to be very difficult for Ishmael, but he's got to completely focus up, just lock in for the last couple of laps here and try and catch up back up to Jarno. He is so much more confident in the brakes.
Wow, okay, so 3.5 laps with a 22 seconds. So we're looking at 7.5 roughly, you know, give or take half second. We're looking at about 7.5 seconds per lap he needs to do to get that move done. Isvan Pukki already in front now into 5th place, overtakes Zanagratsky, definitely going to have seen that. Ishmael Fassi getting the move done now on Joni Tormala, who's not going to fight that. He's just happy to be up there in 4th. He's probably going to keep 4th at this point. I feel like he made a really, really great strategic move and not fighting for the podium and keeping that 4th place.
Ishmael Fassi could have lost it all through Ascari there. I was scared. I was scared for his life there. He was right on the curb. Again, I was almost going to swear, but yeah, Ishmael Fassi. He's not really catching up to Jarno Uppbeat at the minute. He's 21.3, but I think in that first corner, that heavy braking zone, that is going to be crucial. We'll see how much Ishmael Fassi is able to catch up then. As into the corner he goes, he can be so much more confident on the brakes, so much more aggressive through the corners than Jarno Uppbeat, but it doesn't seem like he's gaining all that much here. Might have been the wrong call for Ishmael.
Daniel Zanagratsky, when you watch this back later on, when think, oh, how did my race go and how did the commentators react? Zanagratsky, 9 seconds? Okay, I'm saying it. Zanagratsky, Ben, love you. Right, so Jarno, we're now just at 19.8 seconds. I really feel like the soft guys have thrown this. I think they've thrown it away. Obviously, Jarno is a fast driver, but at the end of the day, obviously the soft tyres are quicker, but 3 laps, they had 4 laps by the time people started pitting. They had 4 laps, they needed to be gaining 5 to 7 seconds a lap. We're now nearly at the end of the lap. Ishmael Fassi has gained 3.5 seconds. That's it.
It's not enough. He is catching, and he's a lot quicker than Jarno Uppbeat at the minute, but he's just not catching enough. And I mean, it's going to take something big here for Ishmael Fassi to actually take second in this Grand Prix, and he's not going to take the win. Danny Berger, he can cruise home at the minute. The gap to the leader at the minute, 22 seconds between Danny Berger and Ishmael Fassi. It's not going to happen. Ishmael does take the fastest lap of the race, of course, but he's not going to catch up to these guys. I don't see it happening in a million years.
Nah, definitely not. But you know what? You need to give props to Danny Berezny. Like, that's a scary position. You're the guy in the you're in first place. You've got 4/5 laps to go. You've got a dry track. You're on intermediates. Like, you know, viewers at home, like, what would you do in that situation? You could understand why that's a stressful situation to be in. It's not like you can just do the opposite of what the guy in front of you does. Like, you need to make that call. And I would have been tempted to go into soft tires, but you know, I'm a nitwit at this game, so that's why I'm not in the lobby and commentating it. No, wait, I've just insulted you, Dan, for no reason. I didn't even mean that. Right, I'm sorry. We're great.
I think you've got to get in the bin. Join Jarno Uppbeat
Yes!
in his bin, because I'm fuming after that one there.
Yes! Get me in the bin, mate, and it's not a fancy one either. I'll take it. This banging race has been ruined. I'm sorry.
Jarno Uppbeat has got one of the massive ones that, you know, at the back of a big restaurant or whatever. Yes. You've got the little one in a bathroom somewhere. Just get completely abused, thrown up in when people are drunk after a night out.
Okay, I mean, you just took that metaphor and went way off with that one.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I mean, you can have a kitchen bin. I'm willing to compromise on that.
Thank you. I love it. Look, Ismail 15 seconds behind Jarno, lap 53. Nah, fumbled the bag, but at the end of the day, he's really only cost himself second place, right? It was either I lose second place or I go for a gamble to potentially get the win. So I get why he took the chance.
Yeah, now the sun is shining at the minute, and I think also these guys, there's a lot less pressure on this league. You know, they don't get to practice like they do for Tier 1 and PSGL every single week. They don't get to practice. It's a lot more casual, and they're able to have a lot more fun with it. So Ishmael Fassi going for the gamble. Why the hell not? But it's not going to work out for him. Danny Berejnay now, Scott, through the final sector. He's got no competition.
Yeah, and do you know what? He deserves this on sheer skill, but also decision making. He came onto the soft tires the intermediate tires at the right time, and he decided to stay on them. Coming round the line, lap 53, Danny Berejnay for Hungary takes that win. Jarno Opmeer, even though making a bad strategic decision, finishes commanding second place, and very good for a championship. If this is the race where you make a mistake and you still finish second, then he is definitely looking good. Ismail Fassi's going to finish that podium. Very nice to see it from him as well. You can just feel the gaps though, that dominance up the top. And Joni Tormila, amazing for him. He stayed on those intermediates and he gained some positions at the end there in fourth. Istvan Pukki coming in fifth, and we're going to see everyone else slowly just come round for the rest of the lap. Dan, that was, yes, we didn't have the safety car, but that was definitely a sort of strategic race where we definitely seen some amazing strats.
Well, that was mental. We didn't actually have a safety car at any point. I think there was probably grounds for one with David Vincher just getting T-boned by Thomas Ronhaar and crashing in the middle of the circuit. It was only the VSC for that. I wonder if we're on reduced settings. I think that might be it, because there's a lot of safety car issues on this game, as there are a million other issues. But yeah, I think we're on reduced just to avoid all of the problems. I know that's how it is in PSGL and WOR Tier 1. But maybe it's different in Ironman League. But nevertheless, no safety car today. I mean, that's very surprising considering what we've seen in previous Grand Prix.
Yeah, definitely. Do you know what? Like, fair play to them. Istvan Pukki, driver of the day. I would argue, is again great drive from Istvan, but I would argue that Danny Berejnay stood above and beyond everyone else. He had, not only did he have an amazing pace, but he just seemed to keep making the right decisions. He just kept going on there, and as you can see, goes onto the podium, absolutely ecstatic. Well done for him and for Mercedes. Like, great watch. Love to see it. It's moments like this where you can just ask yourself, like, who is actually going to be the F1 Sims Esports Championship when we finally get there near the end of the game cycle, right? Who is actually going to do it? These drivers are so close in terms of their skill and professional levels that it just makes it so exciting to watch. Similar to what F1's been like this year in real life. Like, you have no idea who's going to win the race anymore. It's just so great to see.
Absolutely. I think that's one of my favourite things about F1 sim racing and how it's different from other esports, because a lot of esports, you know, Overwatch, League of Legends, Valorant, whatever, they're all team games, you know, and these teams, they spend a lot of money, they get the best guys, and they dominate. But in F1 sim racing, if you're fighting for the Drivers' Championship, it's all for yourself. And so that means that these guys, they're fighting week in, week out. They're competing against one another rather in one big happy family of a team, and that makes for some very unpredictable results. And you're absolutely right. I have no idea who is going to win F1 sim racing this time, but I'm very excited for it to come very, very soon. Fingers crossed, very soon.
Mate, like, F1's back. Yeah, I know we have some issues with the game and whatnot, like most things, but F1 is back, and I'm just... See, for a new sort of fan like myself, you know, we talked to you last time about, you know, how long you've been an F1 fan, you know, watching it with your father and stuff. But see, for me, for like a new sort of fan, as much as I like Verstappen, that's all I've had since I started watching, and it's just amazing to see, not only in the sim but in real life, just so much going on and just never knowing where it's going to go. And I just love to see that there's just some sort of buzz around F1. And, you know, I've spoke to people that maybe have liked it for 10-20 years, and there's definitely been dull points in F1 where maybe it's not been as big and glamorous as it is, and it's just been so cool to see. And do you know what? For a race with no safety car and a DRS train race, that was still exciting, so fair play to everyone, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think those the four guys at the very top, Danny, Jarno, Ishmael, and Thomas, they made for a very entertaining run. It was a real shame that Thomas Ronhaar ended up DNFing, because I mean, that would have been another element into the fight for the lead. We could have had it more exciting towards the end. We could have had Thomas Ronhaar winning, and I think the stakes would have been a bit higher for Ismail Fassi because it was a guaranteed podium for him.
Yeah.
If he made that gamble, he'd have been off the podium because he wouldn't have caught up to either Jarno or Thomas, or maybe Thomas could have made the strategic call to pit with Danny, and then they could have fought for the win right to the end. A lot of questions. It's a real shame that we're not going to get all the answers to them, but nevertheless, it was very, very fun.
Yeah, definitely. People like Ron Hart are our sort of antagonists into this race. You love to hate him, you hate to love him. It's that sort of thing. And, you know, yes, certain fans might not like each other in the way they go, but I feel like in a sort of, there's an undeniable element of that they need each other. You know, they need that sort of intenseness between the two of them, getting their elbows out. Yes, we love to moan about people, but see, if you're not having those exciting moments and dramatic conclusions, then why are we here? You know, are we really here to just watch a guy race 70 laps with no challenge and just finish the race like he started? No, we're definitely not. So I'll leave the question up to you, Dan. I've got Ismail Fassi right now wanting to talk, and I've got Danny wanting to talk. Who do you want to speak to first?
Let's go with Ishmael first. Save
Let's
Danny for last. I want to hear about Ishmael's strategy call as well. I mean,
Aye.
it was a bold one. Didn't work out in the end, but I want to hear his thinking behind it.
Well, okay, take this away. Here he is.
All right, so first up, then we've got Ishmael Fassi in the commentary box. It's really good talking to you. Of course, normally, Ishmael, we're talking in Tier 1. It's good to hear you in Ironman League. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing good. I was having a chat with Danny until you moved me up here.
Oh, I'm sorry for interrupting you. I mean,
Don't worry, mate. Don't worry.
we'll drag him in a minute. Maybe you can have the conversation on stream. But only joking, of course. But first and foremost, coming into the Ironman League, you've been fighting it out for the championship. You're doing a fantastic job at the minute. How are you feeling, sort of, just with this format? You know, how does it differ from the normal way that we run things in WOR? How do you enjoy it here in the Ironman League?
I mean, it's good to be like many, or at least 5. Depends on the race, and the attendance that we are kind of 5 or 6 sports drivers. It's fun to have battles every 2 laps in 100% race. People say it's too long, but I don't know. When you're in the race, you don't think about it, and you finish it after, I don't know, 5 minutes in your head. But yeah, today we were missing Otis, Duncan, Thomas had the disconnection, sorry. Also Istvan, I don't know what happened to him, who was 20 seconds behind us. Johnny as well. So today was a little bit boring compared to the previous races, not gonna lie. But you know, in the end, I just tried to put this off and see if I could get Danny, but wasn't fast enough, I guess. Or Inter was quite fast.
I mean, well, it was a very bold decision to pit in for the soft compounder tyres. And what really was your thinking there? What were you sort of trying to gain out of that? Was it just all about the win? You didn't care about losing second? You just wanted to go for first?
I wanted to go for first. I didn't care, to be honest, finishing either second or third. But yeah, so that I think I was only 3 seconds, 4 faster. I don't know. I didn't even check it, but I wasn't that quick from what I expected. But yeah, I mean, still third. So
Definitely, yeah, you had to go for it, right? Fair play. It gave us a little bit of excitement at the end there as well, thinking, would it be faster, would it not be faster? You were right, you were about 4 or 5 seconds. It wasn't much in it, to be honest. Maybe the track just wasn't quite ready for it, which was amazing to see. But fair play, like, well done for going for it. It seems like Danny just came in that perfect lap, and staying out an extra lap on that track cost it about 5 seconds. Obviously, you don't know it until you do it. So, like, when you seen him sort of going in, did you want to just do the opposite of what he done, or did you genuinely think that if you stay out for an extra lap, you would have the advantage?
I thought that the track would be dry. No, like it turned up to be wet literally after the first chicane, and Jarno and I, we were dancing in that in lap. So yeah, when I saw he was 5 seconds ahead, I said, well, maybe because having one lap less tire, then he would struggle a bit. But yeah, he was really fast, so we just couldn't catch him up.
Well, fair play, but the three of yous, including Ron Harswell, obviously you got the disconnect, which was unfortunate, but you really put your mark down on this race. Like, no one was anywhere close to you. You almost had a free pit stop at some points. You were dancing in that 19-20 seconds ahead of everyone. Like, what was that? Was that you just efficiently swapping the DRS for that long periods of time? You just seemed like in a different race to everyone else.
Yeah, I think swapping every lap was kind of what did the gap being big every lap, and also that I think there's something happened at the beginning. I don't know what, because the gap was already quite big since the beginning. So yeah.
Fair play, Dan. Any last words?
No more questions from me, but really well done, Ishmael, on your race. Of course, you were completely in just all three of you and Thomas before he had his DNF. You were in your own race, so really well done. Hopefully, we can see you back here in future weeks.
True. See you.
Love to see it. And we have the man of the moment, Dan, don't we? We have another Dan, Danny Berezny. If he's hopefully here and listening, well done on a strategic masterclass. I'm sure you'll have a nice story for us to tell us, as you usually do with the interviews. Always first in for the interviews, Danny. I love to hear it. How did that race go for you?
First of all, I have to unmute myself. Hello, everyone. I was very happy that no one pitted with me on Inters, because I felt like during the race that I may be a little bit faster in the corners but slower in the race. In the straights. I didn't use the minimum amount of downforce, even if it's usually the way in the F1 games in Monza. And on intermediate tires, I was really confident, but still having one lap older tires and obviously switching slipstreams and being able to recharge more efficiently and then use a bit, I was still scared of the team play of Jarno and Ismail. And they closed in by like 1.5 seconds throughout the whole stint. But luckily my advantage that I gained from the undercut was enough. And I'm just really happy because last week I had a disconnect from podium position in Zandvoort. I felt like that race I could have fought for the race victory, and now life gave me something back. So I have 2 victories out of the last 3 races now, Spain and Monza. I hope I can keep up this statistics.
I love that, Dan.
Well, I mean, you've got 2 out of the last 3, and if you want to go into the statistics, whilst I'm commentating, you've had 100% win rate. So I think you'll be flagging to bring me back in for the next couple of streams.
Oh yeah,
I could be in there just for you, mate.
that sounds good.
I mean, that's I've got no questions. It's really well done. You played the not only the strategy game, you played the hard fought racing game, and you've earned that win today.
Thank you very much.
Just before you go, Danny, I've got one question for you. So, when at the very end, I think roughly 5 or 6 laps to go, give or take, the track dried, and you are on intermediate tyres, and you've got that question of whether you go into softs for roughly 4 laps, whatever it ended up to be. Were you nervous, or did you know straight away that you were just going to see this race out on the intermediates, or were you having that battle of, do I go into softs? Because you're in first. Like, you've got no other guidance around you, right? You just need to go for it.
Yeah, well, it's quite easy math, luckily, because we had 5 laps of full dry conditions, and I was already doing 124s. Meanwhile, in the dries, I was doing 120s. So it doesn't add up to the pit stop advantage. This is a track full of straights. If we were on Zandvoort with a lot of corners, or where you also overheat the tires a lot, then it would have been a different story. But here, I was pretty confident in my strategy.
I actually love that. Well, your strategy today won you that race in a commanding way. And well done on, first off, getting that 5-second advantage for pitting onto the inters at the right lap, and also well done for staying out in the inters. I know a lot of people would have done different strats, so fair play. Danny, any last words for any of your fans out there?
No, just thank you for your support, and see you next week, hopefully, in the same channel.
Love that, Danny. Thanks very much. We'll see you next time. Thank you. Right,
Bye-bye.
Mr. Thank you. Bye-bye. Mr. Field. Mr. Dan, the man with a plan. Did you have fun tonight? Did you have fun?
Of course I did. Of course I did. Like every single well, I've only been here twice, but yeah. Of course I had fun once again, and it's not going to be the last time this season I'm back here.
Yes, well, I had so much fun as well. This was a race for the racers. That, you know, that F1 fan that's sitting in this house that loves strategy and is sick and tired of safety cars and just throwing everything out the window, for just sitting down for 100% race and seeing who has the best mindset. That's what tonight was for. And yes, sometimes it might not be as glitzy and flashy as some other races, but those are the races that the real die-hard racers, they want to see. So I hope you got that fixed tonight. Wherever you've been, if you've had a bad day, a good day, I hope you've been able to come here and just let off a little bit of steam. Watch these guys go from glory to rags to back to glory. All of these character arts that we've seen, people like Azena Gratsky for the amateurs as well, making good decisions but getting big penalties, but also fighting for that as well. It has been an absolutely incredible race. We're 5 rounds in, and this is shaping up to be one of the most exciting seasons of racing that I've ever seen. Dan, if we've liked your beautiful voice tonight and your glasses, where can we find you?
My glasses? I mean,
I don't know.
you like my glasses? They're from Specsavers. I can drop you a link if you want. You can find me if you really do want to, you want some more tips on what, or if you want to know my prescription or whatever, you can come message me on Twitter. It's at Downfield F1_. That's how you can find me.
I love it. I've been Scott Taylor tonight. You can find me on Instagram, scott.taylor.uk, where I do some song reviews of the real life races that people seem to like. You can go find that. I think that's going to be us for tonight, Dan. I think I've had a wonderful time. It's been our second time commentating together, and I've had so much fun. It's always so easy with yourself. Cannot wait to do it again. But for ladies and gentlemen, if you've just come in at the end here, we are WOR's Ironman League. We take some of the best drivers in the world, we put them in a professional league. We take the best Hungarian amateurs and we stick them in an amateur league. We do a reverse championship order. We put the amateurs up the top, the pros down the bottom, and we see just how good those professional drivers are. Once again, they have been able to storm through the field. I am Scott Taylor, this is Dan Field. Have a wonderful rest of your night. WR's Ironman, we're out. We'll see you next week. Adios.